Hello, Terry.
Morning, Gary.
You're looking very well, and welcome to my bar.
Thank you, Gary. It's great to be at your board. It looks delightful. And it's good to know the sun is over the yard arm somewhere.
That's the truth. We're in interesting times. How are you getting on?
We're getting along fine. We went into quarantine situation here starting Monday of this week. So my wife and I, are home with the animals and trying to hunker down and be safe. For me, to be home is a beautiful thing, right? I typically would have traveled 250,000 miles by now, and I haven't left the house since December.
And where is home?
Home is in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the United States of America, right? East Coast, Southeast Coast. It's 65 degrees. The pollen is so thick you could plow it with a snow plow, and we're in the thick of spring, so it's beautiful.
Okay. And with regard to your biggest challenge so far, I mean, obviously you've anticipated that you were going to have to quarantine, but there's a lot of people going through that first wave of challenge psychologically or other. How have you found it?
Well, it's been, as you were asking that question, I was thinking there's so many different levels, right, to that. The challenge for us and for you and I, we are in the mission critical business. End period, right? Everything we do is mission critical. So all of our clients, all of our employees, everything we think and do, right, are how you avoid problems and risk and minimize risk and mitigate risk. So it's certainly been terribly challenging. We're working flat out. We're working flat out, and that's rewarding because those who can work, listen, stand a better chance. And I'm just being frank. So we're trying to keep our people busy, and that's becoming more and more challenging globally every day.
And so you obviously mixed what the biggest challenge was also the positive, in that the industry, I guess, that you have helped to build for the past 15 years, if not more, is now holding up what is the new norm globally, infrastructure.
We will. I'm always an optimist, as you know, but I think that our learning experiences vertically up and down in every industry in silo in the world, and people are rethinking about how they're going to do business in the future. For folks like ourselves that work in the data center industry, we've already seen the drastic increase in capacity demand, subscription demand, cloud services, video services, take them all, right? The roof is blowing off. We were in a 15% growth industry prior to this virus. As you and I have talked recently, that we're seeing those subscriptions. We're still going to have to satisfy the capacity that we were working on when this hit. And then the demand for additional capacity at the end of this is going to be extraordinary.
Yeah, it's extraordinary that, and probably just as you're speaking, I thought of something that an astronaut once said, and he said, "We train for failure." When he stood up and said it, it takes you a little while to compute, but he was training for every month on the ground was an hour in the air or something. And all the repetitive training was what to do when it goes wrong. And in many respects, that's what data center guys have been doing for so long, is designing, building, operating a infrastructure that they knew were mission critical, but often the people that were using it didn't. And it's probably like a long-term marriage. We get complacent, right?
Yeah, we've grown comfortable with our abilities to mitigate issues, both human and equipment related, in mission critical facilities. And because we're so good at it, I'm not talking about primary integration, I'm talking about our industry, right at the tier 3, tier 4 level, that things like we were actually prepared for this. If from an operations standpoint, there were always contingencies in place. What if we had a hurricane? What if we had a snowstorm? What if we did, you prepared for all those things, right? So you had a different manpower and shifts. But from a construction perspective, it is becoming very challenging now. And as you know, our clients don't stop. Our industry my company is running flat out right now. Every one of my clients, all my hyperscale guys can't build data center capacity fast enough. And that was before we had this COVID-19 incident. So,
yeah,
it's
interesting. It's very interesting. And that's one of the realizations. As you know, I'm interviewing you here from Ireland, and the digital factories, as we've called them, they're still operating at full tilt, if not at up to 700% more capacity. But that till is still ringing for Ireland Inc. That generating of revenue and the products and the software as a service, whereas all the other factories, unfortunately, due to the social isolation, are closed. So all these things solidify back to probably the people that we've constantly, you and I and the rest of us, try to get inside the head of, the policymakers, the fiscal people of our nations, to realize that this is the oxygen of the digital world. And there isn't a separate economy to the digital economy. So I think ultimately it's sort of, it's like a lot of things, isn't it, Terry? If you want to really know what it's like to have a broken arm, you better have broken your arm.
That's correct. That's correct. And listen, the bright spot, it's interesting. So as I look at my world, right, because we meet every day and we talk about North America, South America, we talk about, what's happening. The bright spot in my global portfolio is Ireland, because you have the hyperscale guys, and they're all very active. I was thinking about Ireland the other day, where my biggest challenge is labor mobility. Just take it aside whether people should or should not travel. That's a different discussion, right? Or go to work every day. The bright spot for primary integration, or Bureau Veritas Primary Integration, is that Ireland has huge data center demand, and it's active now. So I know that in my rest of the world, when this ends, my guys are going to hit. I mean, we're busy in Ireland, so you guys are going to be in great shape, and the first people that heal.
So have you learned anything about yourself, good or bad, or have you got to know your farm animals or your wife, or what over the last numbers of weeks? Have you learned anything positive?
Listen, there are many positive things, and you learn from your people. To me, probably the greatest learning lesson or one of the greatest things that I've seen that's pleased me, is how willing people are to help other people at the grassroots level, right? Not at the political level, but at the grassroots level.
Yes.
How to get things done. So for me, I live in a very small rural community like yourself. So my goals every day are, I'm more cognizant or more conscious of people that live paycheck to paycheck, and people that work in the labor pools that serve our restaurants, our resorts, our stores, our local. So one of the things is, for me, and I will always remember now, is to stay with the local guy. A lot of us tend to go to the big chains, and I've been consciously trying to support our local folks and our local vendors, and try and help our immediate community, right? And I think that's one of the things. This is the first time I've ever spent 3 months at home without traveling in 15 years. It's extraordinary to be home every day.
As always, you and I could probably talk for another 15 hours and still have other stuff to talk about. But 3 words to close out the session. Oh, you wrote it down. Please smile
every day. And my original sign, which my wife thought was pretty funny, said, "Give a hug." And she goes, "I don't know that that's so appropriate for social distancing." Right
now, but it will find its day again. Terry Gillick, president of BV Primary Integration. As always, you're a wonderful person and a great guy to spend a few minutes with. Thank you so much.
Gary, I so much enjoyed our conversation. Please be safe, and thank you so much for your time. And all you guys in Ireland, we love you from over here, and we miss you. So be safe, and we'll see you soon.
Likewise.